So that is the question. How do the eggs work? Pokemon eggs and breeding were introduced to the Pokemon universe in Generation 2 back in 1999. So it comes as no surprise that eggs made it into the launch version of Pokemon Go. Although breeding and baby Pokemon have yet to be added, eggs can be collected from Pokestops at random. That means they spawn randomly. You need simply collect the eggs as they spawn and they will automatically be added to your inventory. In order to hatch your egg, you have to incubate it. You'll always have one incubator on your person that never expires, but this also restricts you to incubating only one egg at a time. In order to incubate several eggs simultaneously, you'll need to spend game currency. The only way to make progress in the hatching process after you've begun the incubation is to move throughout your geo-mapped location. Now, I know what you're thinking. Easy. I'll just hop in my car and do a few laps around the local block and call it good. Fortunately for game balance, that isn't possible. Well, not really. First, in order for your movements to be recorded and attributed to the incubation process, you need to have the Pokemon Go app open on your smart device and tracing your phone's GPS location, which means you're going to need a network connection. Second, the game has built-in algorithms to prevent shortcuts of that nature. Now, I haven't calculated it precisely and I'm sure it will be changing constantly, but it appears your device needs to be moving at speeds less than approximately 8 kilometers per hour. For you Americans out there, that's about 5 miles per hour and about the speed that an average person jogs. So, for example, if you're sprinting or riding a bike or in anything but stop-and-go traffic in your car, most likely you will not be making any egg hatching progress. Now, this movement is not based on steps taken, so walking on a treadmill or cycling on a stationary bike won't do anything. Your smart device has to be physically moving through the map from a satellite's perspective. So if you want to maximize your incubation speeds, you need to aim for a speed walking pace, which, as modern studies show, is usually the ideal level of exercise for a regular person. That's convenient. Eggs come in varying degrees of rarity. The more common your egg is, the less distance you'll have to travel in order to hatch it. For example, Pidgey's egg will only require 2 kilometers traveled before it's hatched. Pokemon of equivalent rarity will fall under this category. Uncommon eggs are indicated by a further travel distance requirement. A Mankey, for example, is an uncommon spawn. You'll need to walk 5 kilometers in order to hatch his egg, more than doubling the requirements for Pidgey. And rare spawns will require an even further distance. Using Dratini as an example, you'll need to walk 10 kilometers to hatch his egg. Now, as far as game progression goes, in all of my research, hatching eggs is by far the best way to progress as a trainer in Pokemon Go, and I'll tell you all the reasons why. Firstly, Pokemon that you've hatched have a significantly higher combat power out of the egg than your average wild Pokemon does. If you're a classic Pokemon player, think of this as your Pokemon's inherited values, or IVs. Pidgey X, hatched from your egg as a level 5 trainer, is roughly as powerful as 3 or 4 average wild Pidgeys combined. Now that's a significant advantage. That makes egg Pokemon ideal choices for evolution. Second, when you hatch a Pokemon from an egg, you'll also receive several candies for that Pokemon's family. Example, you hatch a rare egg containing a Dratini. Your new Dratini hatches with about 60% of his current combat power already actualized. Think of this as talent versus skill. But also, that egg contained 15 Dratini candy. With 10 more, you could evolve your Dratini to Dragonair, and you're well on your way to that super talented Dragonite. That Dragonite, which you hatched from birth, will be substantially more powerful than one that you may encounter in the wild, and you didn't have to spend any resources to train him. Now, don't make the mistake of thinking that just because an egg is common, that it's undesirable. It's still worth hatching because it's still the most efficient way of harvesting candies for that family. If you hatch 10 Pidgey eggs, you'll have yourself a super-powered Pidgeot who can #wreck enemy-controlled gyms or defend your own against legions of underleveled Pokemon. Third, hatching an egg also rewards a very substantial amount of trainer experience. That varies depending on the degree of the egg's rarity. So, considering that in order to hatch eggs you must travel, and traveling is the way to visit Pokestops and catch wild Pokemon, egg hatching as a macro goal is legitimately the best way to gain experience to increase your trainer level. The higher level you are as a trainer, the greater your Pokemon's potential becomes. Use a lucky egg from the shop to increase experience gains whenever you decide to go on an egg hatching spree. So to recap, hatching eggs in Pokemon Go is the fastest way to collect candy for training and evolutions. It's the fastest way to gain trainer experience, and it's the most effective way to adopt powerful Pokemon, in other words, Pokemon with high inherent